Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears could be in for a major shift on this offensive line as we look towards the new NFL season. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. First and foremost, Bears fans, happy Sunday to every single one of you guys. We are officially a week away from the NFL season, and of course, there's football on Thursday as well, but the Chicago Bears are actually 8 days away from their NFL season when they take on the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football at Soldier Field. So Bears fans, on a scale of 1 to 10, let me know how excited you guys are for the Chicago Bears new NFL season. But before we go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is DraftKings Sportsbook. We are so close to the new NFL season, and the anticipation is at an all-time high. And for this season, Keek on the Mic has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook. I have always loved the thrill of sports betting, and this season, DraftKings Sportsbook has taken the fun to a whole new level. Check out this insane deal, football fans. New bettors who only bet $5 will instantly get $300 in bonus bets. To me personally, that deal is absolutely insane, especially for a person like me that loves to bet on their team every single week. Football fans, not only will you get the thrill of live betting when you're betting through DraftKings Sportsbook, you can actually make live bets in progress when the games are actually happening. So if you guys are like me and just love the thrill of live betting, DraftKings has definitely got you covered for this NFL season. So if you want to join the fun this season through DraftKings Sportsbook, make sure you click the link in the description of today's video and join using my promo code KEEK. And trust me, football fans, you guys will definitely thank me later. All right, Bears fans. So like I said, we are 8 days away until the Chicago Bears kick off their NFL season against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. And there's still a major glaring issue on this offensive line. The whole point of this training camp was to try to find a starter at the left tackle position, and the Chicago Bears currently don't have a legit starter. It sounds that Braxton Jones will be in line to start week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. That move hasn't been official, but by hearing how, Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson have been talking about it, it sounds that Braxton Jones will be the week 1 starter. But as we all know, going into this offseason, that was one of the major holes on this roster. At the beginning of training camp, it was between Braxton Jones, Ozzie Trapillo, and Karan Amagaji. Obviously, just like Ryan Poles said, Ozzie Trapillo hit that rookie wall, so they moved him back to the right tackle spot. Of course, Karan Amagaji got hurt, but then they decided to move him back inside at guard. And now it seems that's between Braxton Jones and Theo Benedict. And now it seems that the Chicago Bears have no choice but to start Braxton Jones week 1, which to me, it's probably the best option at this point, just due to the fact that he is the vested veteran. But at the same token, we kind of all know the type of player that Braxton Jones is. He's a decent starting left tackle, but cannot handle the bull rush. So Brian Poles actually sat down with Chicago Tribune in a little interview just to give, his outlook on the left tackle spot. And this is what he had to say, Bears fans. He says, "They're all on different planes, and that's been the most challenging part of it," Poles said. So you have Braxton, and you're trying to evaluate a guy that's coming back from a pretty significant injury, and then looking at last year's tape as kind of the bar. Can he get to that point and better? But he's not quite there yet. He's closing in on it. But then the person he's competing with, Trapillo, is a person that's never played in the league versus Karan, who didn't have his first year coming from a smaller school. Amadije missed most of the 2024 offseason after an injury at Yale. And then Theo enters the conversation, who from a length standpoint may not have everything, but from a foot speed and toughness standpoint has a lot of things that you like. Here's the thing, Bears fans. Ryan Poles' breakdown and the outlook of the left tackles that are currently on the Chicago Bears roster roster paints a very not so good picture for that left tackle spot. You have a guy that isn't 100% healthy in Braxton Jones. You have a rookie in Aji Chapello. You have a small school guy in Karan Amagaji, and a player who doesn't have the typical tackle measurables in Theo Benedict. And this has always been a concern for Ryan Poles, right? He's struggled to really evaluate talent in regards to the offensive line. If it wasn't for the trades that he made for Joe Thuney, signing Drew Dahlman, or even getting Jonah Jackson via trade as well, this offensive line would still be hot trash. But in regards to the NFL draft, Ryan Poles has really struggled time and time again to find some really quality all-pro starters on this offensive line. They're hoping that Darnell Wright can be that guy going into this new NFL season at the right tackle spot. But now it seems that with the struggles to really find a starting left tackle, and once again, it seems that Braxton Jones will start for the first 4 weeks for the Chicago Bears offensive line. But it seems that the Chicago Bears, with the uncertainty at the left tackle spot, which let's remind ourselves, that's the blind spot for Caleb Williams. So it's going to be a really important spot to make sure Caleb Williams can be upright, especially when you're looking at the outlook of the NFC North, going against guys like Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, just to name a few. And the Chicago Bears, meaning Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles, are going to have to be a little bit creative and maybe make a major shift to make sure that we have the best starting five out there. So I'm going to throw a couple of different scenarios out there, and I want to give a huge shout out to my dad. He actually gave me inspiration for today's episode of Keek on the Mic, so huge shout out to him. We were actually talking today, and he's like, you know what, son? The Chicago Bears may need to consider moving Joe Thuney to left tackle. Joe Thuney does have experience playing left tackle at NC State, and he also had to play a significant role at left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that he actually played that position in last year's Super Bowl and had a really good year at left tackle. And some people say it was actually an upgrade for the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, this is last case scenario for the Chicago Bears. Maybe Braxton Jones goes out there and plays above average. Maybe Ben Johnson is able to get him to a point where he's playing really good football. But if Braxton Jones struggles for the first couple of weeks in the NFL season, I know we have that early bye. Maybe during the bye week, Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears may have to get creative and move a guy like Joe Thuney to left tackle. Of course, that then leaves a gaping hole at the guard position. But then you have guys as backups like maybe Karan Amagaji that may be a better fit at that guard spot. Maybe you add in like Ryan Bates that could also be a good option at the guard spot if, in fact, you have to move Joe Thuney to the left tackle spot. And then another scenario for the Chicago Bears, and once again, this is just last case scenario, if Braxton Jones struggles, you could also consider moving Darnell Wright from that right side to the left side and maybe putting Aji Chapello at that right tackle spot, which is a more natural spot for the rookie. That's what he played at Boston College. And I think they learned that very quickly when he started kind of struggling at the left tackle spot and obviously looked a lot more comfortable at the right tackle spot during training camp. So Bears fans, this is just the last case scenario. It definitely sucks that we have to deal with this and that Ben Johnson and the Bears haven't really clearly named a week one starter. Hopefully Braxton Jones can, go out there and play good football. But what we know about Braxton Jones is that he can't handle the bull rush, which means that when he goes against guys like Aiden Hutchinson or Micah Parsons, you're going to have to put a tight end out there and help him chip, and then maybe even have a running back out there just to give him a little bit more reassurance, which that's what you don't always want from your left tackle spot. You want your left tackle, your blindside blocker, to be able to handle those certain scenarios that at this point in Braxton Jones' career, that has been his major weak link. And I'm not sure if at this point in his career, if he's going to be able to improve on that. So we're going to see what Braxton Jones is able to do, but I think the Chicago Bears could be in for a major shift on this offensive line if, in fact, there is still some huge question marks at that left tackle spot during the first couple of weeks of this NFL season. So, Bears fans, let me know down below how you're feeling about this whole left tackle situation. Do you still think that Braxton Jones is the best man for the job? Or would you rather see a guy like Theo Benedict go out there? And if not, if you guys are still uneasy about the left tackle spot, do you think the Chicago Bears should consider making that shift with Darnell Wright or maybe even Joe Thuney playing the left tackle spot? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. The other than that, be back for our all new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it